It's good to meet you, Sai. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, Karen. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. Turn this. All right, turn the speaker up. All right. So you ask away, and I will answer away.
Yeah, sure. So, firstly, thank you very much, Karen, for giving me opportunity to interview you for my YouTube channel and podcast.
You're welcome. Thank you for asking. I'm a little bit intrigued. You are the first that I have gone on a podcast with, so I'm looking forward to this new experience.
Sure. So, before going to that, can you please put your camera a little downward so that you will be fitting in the camera? Yeah, this
That
is
better?
great. Yeah, this is great.
Okay, there we go.
So, I thought to tell about you and the work that you're doing, the work that you already did to my audience. I can see you are an author, IT consultant, you are into multiple things.
Yes, yes, I do wear multiple hats. That's why, yeah, I have multiple hats there. That's why I have the hat rack.
So before talking about that, can you please introduce yourself to my audience?
All right. So, I am a by day, I am a UX writer. I am also a project manager. I work in internet technology. I have worked on nonprofits, startups, and small businesses, as well as corporate and enterprise. And then I also am an 11-time author, as you can see my books back here. And I utilize the experience that of a project manager because I am a self-published author. So I wear lots of hats. The writing is the easy part, but then you have marketing and sales, and um, so those are the things. So the two worlds end up combining a little bit.
So how you are able to manage because the project management is a different job, writing is a different job.
Well, the beauty of what I've been able to accomplish has been that in my ability of breaking down complex projects into different categories, different phases. So when I go into a project, there are four phases that I walk into. There's the discovery phase, the strategies phase, design, and execution. And by breaking a large project into those four phases, what we end up doing is then being able to understand the whole project at large, but be able to really focus and be self-disciplined in just getting the deliverables that needs to be done for that specific phase, and most importantly to make sure you are passing that on in a manner so that the next phase can just continue to take forward. And I actually apply that same process with my writing. I am a nonfiction motivational writing. I have what's called the Steps to Success program, which does explains goal setting so that you can break it down and then you can set the goal up to achieve. And then I've written some poetry as well as some children's book. But my main and a memoir. But my main area of focus is called the Ember Within series, which is a 30-day motivational challenge. So how I end up juggling those two is because of the self discipline and being able to take complex projects and break it down and then time manage, and it's really essential. My day begins at 4 a.m. and it oftentimes doesn't end until 10 or 11. But that's what I do, and I love it. I love being able to do that.
Awesome. So you as the author of 11 books in 4 series, can you be specific about it?
Yes. So The Ember Within is a nonfiction. It is a goal setting. It is 30-day motivational challenges. So we'll grab these two things here. So these two books here, this one is Define and Align. This book is talking about affirmations of empowerment. And our biggest challenge is really what goes on up here. How we communicate with ourselves, how, we sometimes really focus on our doubts and our insecurities and our fears. And so by creating self-discipline in our thoughts, then that proceeds into action. So I have this, and it goes through and it talks about every day you're going to spend one day on just thinking about, for instance, on day 4, you're going to, just thinking about your intentions. And then you have an exercise that you do. You have the affirmations, and then you have an exercise that you do on here. And so there are 30 life skills that you just spend a day thinking about. And the purpose of that is to be able to train your mind into what you're going to entertain for that day. So if the day is like the very first one is attitude, throughout that day, you're just going to really be focusing on understanding your attitude, understanding why something triggers you, why you responded that way. Thinking about a better response, thinking about how you processed it in your mind and how you can improve. And so that is what Define and Align is. And then Defining Thoughts takes that same 30-day life skills. So you have the exact same life skills. You have anger, but what you do is you're taking that a step further. So you're really being able to really delve into a self-guided evaluation of how you think about anger. And then you have just a little workbook that you do there. And so the best books, the best books for mine are the ones that are written in and drawn in and really, really helping you to just think about what it is you want, define what you want, and then start thinking about how you're going to align with that. And so if there was one book, if anybody asked me, what one book would you recommend reading? I would say this one. And this is my Step to Success program. And what it does is it sets up goal setting. It helps you understand about goals. It helps you learn how to set up goals so that you can succeed. Because how many times do we set up goals so that we want to do it, and then we get all excited about it, and after 1 week or 2 weeks we start feeling discouraged, we're and then you just like put it off aside and I'll get back to it another day. Well, a lot of times that is because you haven't set that goal up correctly. So I go through the workbook, I share goals that I set up for myself as an author. So you actually see the process. And then at the end, you have, well, I'll show you that. So, you can actually see what I have used. And then at the very end, you have a practice. We do a practice session. Going through and just practicing it, and I have two different guided journals that you can use for your goals. I have this journal, and it has, it's just more creative. It has some creative writing on there. And then the other one is the toolbox, which is more strategic. And it's just going to talk about what you think about, what do you think success is? What is success to you? And so these are ones that you can go and you have all the forms so that you can plug it in, and it's like, week one, what's your goal for the month? How are you going to break that goal down into four weeks? And then on every week one, day one, this is what you do. Week one, day two, this is the actions you take. That is how I've been able to be 11-time author. It's by applying that program into my life.
That's awesome. And also, you are a consultant at Carin Camen Consulting LLC. You are self-employed.
You know what? I do consulting work. I have also been an employee. And so I've had all the different experiences. I have been a contractor, freelancer, and a lot of people will say, well, why so many experiences? So let me kind of step back a little bit. And life is about, it only guarantees you one thing, and that is experience. Because I have worked in nonprofits, as and I've had the contractor role or the freelancer role or the employee role, because I've had all of those experiences, when I step into a project management role, or even contractor role, I have the full spectrum of experiences. So this is especially beneficial as a UX designer, UI designer, is because your end user is really every single person that's going to go and have any contact with what you're building. So that means the stakeholders, that means, board members, that means training, that means the developers, testing. All of them really are your end users, as well as the people who are going to use yours, purchase and use what you are working on. And to get to have all of those experiences and to go and have those different roles and those different opportunities, I have a better understanding of their needs up front. So then it takes less time for me to be able to go in and deliver something. My reputation is, within the first day, you'll have a deliverable from me. And so that's been beneficial.
Awesome. And you are into this from, I can see you are into this from last 11 years, 5 months.
Yes. So one of the first things that I did as an author is I wrote my memoir. I was born and raised in a cult, and I left at the age of 48. It was probably, I figured I probably at that point, even though I had graduated from high school, I probably had a 6th grade education compared to other individuals of that similar experience. And I jumped to obtain my college degrees and obtained a BFA in graphic design and a master's degree in human-computer interaction. So going back to this again, that was a pretty hefty challenge. And so what I ended up doing was being able to break that down of what I needed to accomplish in order to be able to get through as fast as I could. And so my first book, Falling Silence, and then I've done a shorter version, Doors of Deception, talks about that cult experience. But one of the benefits that has helped me is that what was normally would be a 6+ year journey path to be able to get my master's degree. Those 2 degrees, I was able to do it in 4 years because of applying that program. So the Steps to Success program has really been like 11 years of research and application to be able to get it to the public. And then all of that information helps me when I go into a new project, and especially now on social media, because we're seeing cult type mentality that is happening because of the political divisions and the different things. People are starting to go into group think. Because of my experience, I'm able to, understand the processes that go on as, to be able to get into that group think. And then as a, UX UI designer and project manager, how to be able to, to break out of that so that we are being more inclusive and being able to find the unifying factors. Because if you're working on, a project, you want to sell it to, everybody, not just namely a specific little group. So by understanding that, groupthink mentality, we're able to go in and find issues early on in order to be able to make that more, expandable market. And so in many ways, because of my upbringing experience, that brings a lot of value to whatever I do.
Great. And before this, you worked as a website project manager and editor for 4 months.
Yeah. Yes, I was my last role, my last official role. Okay. So right now, I am currently project managing a nonprofit, more as it's just they don't need a lot of my time right now. So it's just a few hours a week here and there. And what they are doing is quite fascinating. I am going to be I'm actually right now writing the curriculum for an entrepreneur class for inner city disadvantaged African American youth. And so that is really exciting. That's what I'm doing right now. Before that, I was working full-time as a project manager with a company that was really focused on COVID. And I was able to get them all set up to where then their existing team and consulting people could then take it from there. And that's normally what I'm brought into, is coming in, evaluating the pain points, evaluating what has caused the project to get off track, and then being able to work with the team to be able to get it back on track and have the systems in place so that they can maintain staying on target. And that's why you'll see shorter stints of work, because that has been my expertise of being able to go in and then they are able to implement what I've put in place, and then the existing team continues to move on, and then I move on to the next company or organization that has fallen behind and is needing some help to be able to get it back up and get systems in place so that they can stay.
I got you. And you also worked in Order Snap, the director of user experience.
Yes. Now that one was fascinating. Um, and sadly enough, it was a company that COVID has, hit, and the company wasn't able to stay in business because they were supporting restaurants. And restaurants were being shut down. People couldn't go to restaurants. And so, therefore, it was a catalyst event. But when I went in there, it was really fascinating. That was, I would have to say, that one's probably one of the dearest to my heart, because they went in and they asked me to, totally rebrand. And so I was able to do a total rebrand on them. I was able to go through and then work on the UX and the UI, go and set up the marketing for that. And we were just getting really good. It was going to make it happen. And then COVID hit. And then, we were doing our best to try and, help restaurants stay open. But unfortunately, local laws forced many to close their doors. And it just was a catalyst. And so therefore, then they were forced to close their doors as well. So.
And you are user experience designer too.
Yes, I can do. In fact, on the one I'm doing, the nonprofit I'm working on right now, I just put together all, 8 surveys, different surveys, and they are getting sent out in order to be able to gather the data we need in order to do the books, to write the training material. So yes, I can do the research of it. I can also then jump in and, do the hands-on as far as the UX experience, finding the user's natural workflow, and then also jump into the UI and create the, the individual components. And one of the reasons why I'm able to catch, because most of the time design is holding up dev is not able to continue on because they're waiting for design. So one of the things that I'm pretty proud of is being able to go into organization and teach them component based designs. So like with OrderSnap, they had several hundred artboards of component-based designs. So that way, they're not having to reinvent the wheel. And when I worked in Florida on the Florida Blue project, I worked with a team from India and taught them how to code, based on component-based designs. That way, it was like if I go and I do this type of, component, they could just grab that code, put it into the design, and then be able to just really start cranking things out. And the feedback that I got from the developers was like, this is going to, change things. Because one of the biggest challenges is that designers like to get creative, and that's great. But when you do component-based design principles, you start plugging in similarities, and then you have a consistent look. And this is especially important when you are in an enterprise organization, because you have different teams building different features. And a lot of times you go into them and it's like it's not even the same company. It's almost like a bunch of little companies within there. And so by doing component-based designs, you're making sure that you have the unified look. And that's why I gave you that link to my portfolio, so you can see that as well.
And you worked as a UX tech designer on multiple Florida Blue delivery systems, network domain projects at Synergy Technologies.
Yeah, that was the Florida Blue project that I worked on. That one was another fascinating one because I started on one project that was dedicated to 55 and older. You know, I think the gray hair helped on that. And so I went in and was able to work on that project and get some designs, get dev being able to move ahead. My reputation in the company was talked about, and so they asked me to go to another project which was behind, and I was able to jump in and then do the same thing with the component-based designs, and then be able to give them the deliverables to get design ahead, and then they were ahead, and so reputation again. I was asked to go to another team and was able to do the same with them. So basically, I was like switching jobs every month, but I love that energy. I love that challenge. I love being able to go and, you give me access to, what you currently have so that I can go and do the evaluation of the discovery phase and the research, do the competitive analysis, and then I can jump in. And that goes back to what I said at the very beginning. By going in and breaking it down into the discovery, the strategy, the design, and the execution phases, it's like I can go in and I know exactly I'm in discovery phase, so I have to do 1, 2, and 3. I don't worry about everything else that goes on after that. My focus is there. I can just, whip those out. And because then it's like a relay race team, where you have to pass that baton, and a race is won or lost by how successfully they pass that baton on between, the one and the other. And the development team is the execution phase. And they're always the one that has to make up the time, similar to a relay race team. So I always try and teach to make it so that it's, you're passing that information on, and you're not causing a hang up, and it's a smooth thing. And that's the reason why my reputation is that within the day, you usually have something, a deliverable for me, because I've done this so many times, and I've had to work on such a rapid pace that I'm able to jump in and be able to, go in and duplicate that process to be able to get that information out quickly. So
Great. And you also worked as a senior professor and technology product owner.
Yes. All right. So this one, every place I've worked has been such a beautiful experience. So my skill in UX and UI is the reason why they brought me on as a product owner, because they were almost a year behind on the project because design couldn't pass usability testing. And they were ones, thank you, that they really, made sure that the usability testing was done. So I went in and fly on the wall, just, really started observing their processes, and then gave them some suggestions, gave them some feedback on there. We were able to finally get the usability testing passed. And then I created a workflow, because a lot of the developers, they get a little piece here and then get a little piece there of the project, but they didn't see the full spectrum. So what I ended up doing was I mapped out the user workflow experience, saying if a user touches this, The system's going to give them this, and they'll have the choice to do this, this, and this. Based on that choice, the system will deliver this. They'll have this many choices. And it was this huge, they had a plot map printer. So, think about how, architects are with their blueprints. That's what it ended up being printed on. And I took it into the development team with a bunch of pencils in my hand, and I said, this is, and it was called the approvals project. This is the approvals project. And then I started explaining, and they were like, we get it. We get it, Carin. I says, and then I handed each one of them, and I said, now, do your magic. Pick this thing apart. Rip it to shreds. Because it's better we do it here on this paper than after you've written 50 lines of code. And it was awesome to see the synergy and the teamwork, and they started talking to each other, and I was just, became listening to them, and they started writing things down, and they were like, oh my gosh, Carin, we didn't realize this, but we're going to be hung up here because we need this other team to do this stuff. And I says, okay, how long is that going to take? They're going to be like, well, probably a month. And I'm like, and we were going to start on this next week, but we can't, because we need that. So that's going to put us back a month. And I'm like, so that was able to then start to go and piece in all the different other teams that was going to need to have work done. And then that allowed me to be able to structure the stories. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Agile or story creation, but that allowed me to structure the stories and create the timeline so that while we had that setback of them needing a month of work, we could have them work on other things that would make it so that we could be able to progress forward. And then once again, I was there. I was able to get that done. When I left, I think they had like about 300 stories, and then there exists the team. I was project managing 3 teams, so about 21 people total, but on the one project. So it was fun.
I got you. And you worked as UX, UI designer consultant on multiple XLS, BCBS projects at Tech Systems from 2016 for 3 months you worked.
Okay, yeah. So once again, they brought me on as a consultant. They wanted me to be able to go in and evaluate the team, evaluate their processes. They weren't familiar with Agile, and they really weren't familiar with UX, UI. It was a small town, but it was they were help. And so what I ended up doing was going in and observing their processes, interviewing each team member, finding their pain points. I ended up writing a 70-page manual to explain what UX was, what the role was, what UI is, what the roles were, going in and sharing the discovery design, those 4 phases. And then also was able to jump in and talk to different departments, which they were getting frustrated because they didn't have, they'd been in queue to getting work done. And so I was able to jump in and then do those developments, design work, UI design work, in order for that to be able to go and do that. So one of the things that this company was doing is the developers were doing the design and the development. And so when they brought me in, we kind of separated that out so that they had specific designers. What the biggest challenge was that what the departments wanted, and the designers could go and create, but the developers' skill levels were challenged to be able to actually create that. So that was a good learning experience to be able to, scale designs down to fit the wants of what the departments want, but make it so that the development team could actually execute it.
So how all these experiences working in different projects and different places and in different companies, so how this experience is helping you to do things today?
Oh, every experience, every success, every failure. And speaking of failure, failure is not bad. Everybody's going to fail, and one of the things we need to do is we need to get over our fear of failing. We're all going to have failures in our life, but what's important is to learn from those failures, because it is by learning through those failures that you know better how to succeed. And so because I've been on so many teams and worked with such a wide variety of team members from all over the country, from Sweden and India, American, Germany, I've been able to, be able to work with the different cultures, and be able to fine tune that focus into, the end user, but to have it be a global experience. And I apply that also then in with my writing, is because, we've gone past, because of social media, because of COVID, we've gone past the isolation of just, country after country, because people are talking, like you and I. People are talking to each other. We're learning from each other. We're learning from the experiences that you have, the experiences that I have, and finding commonalities, finding ways to improve things, and having those all that many different experiences over the last 11 years has been extremely beneficial. And the clients I take on now, they get the benefit. They get the benefit of understanding startups, of understanding nonprofits, of understanding enterprise. They get the benefits of working with an overseas team, or working remotely. Because at this point, I'm just 100% remote. If the project isn't 100% remote, I don't take the project on, because that allows you to be able to, it allows the companies to be able to go and get a more diverse employees, and it also gives employees the benefit of being able to, really take on a project anywhere in the world. So we've really become a globalized community, which is benefit, and we have far more similarities than we have differences when we focus on the similarities.
Is there any particular project or the experience that you cannot forget?
Any project or experience that stands out the most? Every project has things, and I've tried to articulate those. I think probably I'm going to pinpoint the one that I'm doing right now, because it's bringing in all the UX, the UI, the project management, and my writing all together. And so, it's, and it is because of that I have found a new set of jobs, jobs that are being opened up, called a UX writer, which I'm now starting to look into, to be able to go in and do that, because it brings everything together. And so I love being able to, have something come across my desk. I jump into it. I need to go do the design part, or I need to create logo or iconology. But then the very next day, I'm, needing to do some UX UI work or some UX research, going through right there. The next day, I am going in and doing writing work on here. I love that bounce back and forth between the right brain and the left brain, and then being able to utilize all my skills and asset for for a company. Oh, did I lose you?
What do you think that is working for you?
What works for me? Um, Getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, energized and excited about the day, and then being able to help people and companies who are struggling, and being able to see them have their dreams come to fruition. You know, that really ultimately works for me. That's what I love doing. Is being able to go in and utilize all my skills to help another person's dream come true.
You are into UI and UX, and you are into project management, and you are into writing. So which one you like?
Which one? I like them all. I like them all equally. And throughout the day, I will bounce between, one to another. If I have, if I don't have any contract work going on at that, then I jump into my writing. I do my own book cover designs. I create all my social media. I, schedule it so I understand the whole marketing part of the social media. And then when client work comes in, then I'm able to evaluate that and then just jump right into it and address whatever needs they have. Like I said, yesterday I was doing UX research, and then this morning I hopped in and started doing some UI work. And then this afternoon, I am going to be, after this interviewing, I'm going to go in and start doing writing for the curriculum. So I love, I love, I love being able to have I love the skills of being able to be so diverse that whatever comes in, I'm able to, take that on and be able to be a benefit for that company or individual.
So I'll share your web links in the description of this video. People who finds our video on YouTube can see the books that you wrote, and also
Thank
your social
you.
media accounts.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So do you have any other questions for me, or did I help you out a little bit?
Yeah, these are the questions that I have now. Present. So,
Okay. All
so,
right.
so
Well, it,
at last, what is your observation about my work? Have you seen any videos of mine on YouTube?
you know what? I am just getting into your videos right there. I find them fascinating. I think it's really good of what you're doing. You have, quite a range, and I think it's really good to be able to help individuals to be able to share the difference, because we all have our strengths and our weaknesses, and you're very open, and you seem to have a broad knowledge base to where you can. So, for instance, I didn't bore you to death with my UX UI talk. Because you understood it. And so I am very impressed with that. And keep going, absolutely.
I did masters in software engineering and bachelor's in computer science and engineering.
I love it.
So, as a tech guy, I'm doing this, interviewing different technologists who are experts, who are authors like you, who are into different parts of the world, who already solved a lot of problems, who already know how things work and how they solve problems in their lives, in their work experience. So learning all experts like you, collecting all this information and putting in my head, and if I work in coming days in a IT position, how this experience is going to be helpful for me personally.
Oh, yes, absolutely, absolutely. Every interview is giving you experience, and that's only going to benefit, every project that you go on. So I applaud you. I applaud you.
And also, can you share your books about your? Can you tell about? Can you spell your books where my audience can get it to my podcast audience?
Okay. Sure, absolutely. So this one here I illustrated this, and this is my first children's book, and I dedicate it to my two special needs grandchildren who have a guest appearance. So it's just a fun little story about Froggy, who ended up, his parents had to move and relocate, and he was afraid of how he was going to be able to go and meet new friends. And he met a lot of new friends with different needs, and they were able to go and get to know each other and be able to play together. And so it's really, I don't know, it's this one, I really, it's beautiful for me. Then Driven. This is one of my poetry books, and this is dedicated to all of us who work so hard that we think love has passed us by. And on here, basically, it's love letters. And so he talks about his fears, she shares confidence. She talks about her fears, and he shares the confidence in there, because they keep saying we just need to, we're both driven, but we need to be driven together on the common goal. And then this is my other poetry book, and love is all about the sunrise and sunset of love. The sunrise, we all like it. It's, oh, a new love, and you get all excited and you're energized. And learning about each other, and you end up, I end up sharing poetry on that. So, like love embraces the whistling winds, twirling among the arms of trees. And it just talks about love when it's in the sunrise phase. But sometimes relationships don't last, and that is the sunset of love. And I share poetry about the beauty in the sunset of love, because you've learned from that experience, and you've gotten to know somebody, you've gotten to know yourself, and you understand that maybe you're not going to be compatible, but the breakup doesn't have to be ugly. It can be a beautiful experience as you wish each other the best in finding someone who is more compatible. So I share the beauty of the sunrise and the sunset of love. And then this is my latest release. It's called Doors of Deception. And this is the shortened version of my story of being born and raised in a cult, leaving and learning how to live in a world that I was taught to fear as evil. And so I share the struggles that I went. It's very open, and in my life, you get to know me. You get to know me really well here. And then at the end of every chapter, I write a letter to L, and L stands for love. There is no individual there, but I wanted to share a love letter to help people understand that people who have had difficulties in their life, whether by their choice or whether by another's choice, that there is still hope to have love, and how to be able to have those conversations in order to be able to bond together and to create a beautiful love life. Then this is my first book, and yes, it is not for the faint of heart. This book here is about my life in the cult, but as you can see, I bridge time. So on this book, you have everything that you have in Doors of Deception, but you also have my thoughts about becoming an author, about my life, about my career as while I'm trying to be an author, I was also working. So you kind of bridge past, present, and future together with that. This one is not an easy read. That's why I have Doors of Deception. And then I was asked, after I released Falling Silence, I was asked, okay, well, you overcame so much. How did you do that? We need to know the processes. And so I share my visualizations. I share my processes of what I did to overcome the brainwashing, to overcome the trauma, and to be able to become the woman that I desire to be. And so that is what this one is, that it goes into deeper into, this is how I did to overcome the challenges that I went. And so yeah, dare to dream. You have to never give up dreaming. So those are the books that I have available, and as always, I love reviews, good, bad, ugly. They're all beneficial, and I really enjoy them. So, but thank you for asking about my books. I appreciate it.
Definitely, my audience will know about you and the work that you did, and they can learn something from what you have experienced and what you have said.
Thank you. That's my hope. That's my hope.
So, can I put this video on my YouTube channel with your permission?
What?
Can I put this video on my YouTube channel with your permission?
Absolutely, you can. And make sure you share the link with me, because I want to put it on my Twitter and share it with my audience. I'm almost up to 10K followers, so you'll have a nice audience for your video there. So want to give back. I'm all about helping people grow and giving back.
Thank you. Can I also put this audio and video clip on my podcast, website, internet, social media, everywhere with your permission?
Yes, you have my permission. Yes, you do.
Yeah, I'll let you know once it is published.
Okay, yes, do that, because then I will go and tweet that out. So, and I'm so honored and so appreciative of you asking me to be a part of your podcast.
So I want you to do what you're doing, and I'm sure because of you, because of your contribution, a lot of people get affected positively and also improve themselves, and also you'll be the reason for a lot of people's growth and smile.
Well, thank you. That is my goal. That's my goals, to help everybody achieve their goals and to realize that, you know what? A lot of chaos is going on out there, but you know what? Life is good, and it starts with how we process it up here. So thank you so much. I appreciate you so much, Sai.
Yeah. Thank you again, Carin.
All right. We'll see ya.
Bye.
Bye.